Drugs and Addiction, an Anarchist Perspective. Dickie Dredd. This is part 12 of the video series. Still on chapter 1, The Drug War in the Mind. Part 10. Section 10. From Illusion to Clarity. Addiction ends the moment illusion loses its grip. It doesn't happen in a clinic or a circle of folding chairs. It happens in the still instant when you finally see the pattern for what it is and stop mistaking it for truth. That moment can take years to earn. For me, it came not as thunder, but as a gradual brightening, light through fog, when the whole performance simply became absurd. The hangovers turned emotional rather than physical. Music sounded richer without a chemical translator. Conversation began to flow without coaxing. Clarity didn't arrive at a bang. It crept in like breath after a long drive. Carr called that awakening the easy way, because once understanding lands, struggle evaporates. The compulsion collapses under its own weight. I realised I'd never been seeking pleasure, only peace, and peace can't be purchased. The drugs had already done their work. They pointed to what was missing, then quietly stepped aside. The fear of life without them was the final illusion to die. Clarity isn't purity. I still take drugs. I just don't hide it anymore. What once felt like escape has become exploration. Cannabis slows my thinking enough to write. Although I must admit I don't smoke anymore. It's because I gave up tobacco and I can't smoke without it. Psychedelics re-enchant what routine dulls. Alcohol, taken in good company, becomes communion rather than concealment. The line is consent. Addiction is when the substance chooses you. Clarity is when you choose it. I began to notice that everything I learnt about recovery echoed what I'd learnt about politics. Hierarchies survive by hiding reality. Freedom starts when you see through the disguise. Whether it's a government declaring a war on drugs or a corporation defining disorder, the objective is the same: to monetize fear. Seeing through that machinery is both psychological and political. As Nutt showed, evidence alone can't shift policy because policy isn't built on evidence, it's built on myth. My task was to dismantle the same myth inside me. The first symptom of clarity is gentleness. The inner cop loses his badge. Guilt turns into information instead of verdict. I stopped counting days of abstinence and started counting days of awareness. Freedom felt less like conquest and more like calm. The world didn't change, just a way of meeting it. In One Flew Into the Cuckoo's Nest, I wrote that institutions survive by keeping people confused, by convincing them they're broken. Clarity starves them. A person who understands their own mind is hard to rule. That's why every empire, medical, political, moral, fears psychedelics, free thought and genuine therapy. They decentralise control. Clarity spreads like contagion. What replaces the old illusions isn't abstinence but attention. Conversation, sunlight, laughter, the smell of rain. These are the new stimulants. They can't be taxed, owned or prescribed. When the fog of illusion lifts, the ordinary world floods back in outrageous colour. The same baseline, the same breeze, finally unmediated. A future becomes a reality, not simply a survival to be experienced day by day. Carr was right in one sense. There is an easy way, but it isn't a shortcut. It's the way of seeing. The mind built the cage, the mind can unbuild it. Once illusion goes, freedom doesn't need to be forced, it simply happens. That's the revolution this book stands for. Not abstinence, not indulgence, but awareness. To live clearly is a culture built on deception in the most radical act left. And next up is the last section in chapter 1, the healing as rebellion, from fear to freedom. Now note, there's a lot of things we've covered, but we will be going into depth in all of these later. So we're just sort of brushing over my own story and what I found out so far in these first chapter, and then the second chapter is also focused on my own sort of history with drugs, but later we will go in depth into each of these different subjects. So don't jump to conclusions yet and say, oh well, I can break abstinence. For God's sake, don't do that.